and what is improper session handling. After this, we will be starting with module 14, which is report and how to make a pen testing report, okay, for Android applications. So the recording has started. So let me start. So let us start with IDOR, okay. So IDOR stands for Insecure Direct Object Reference, okay. So this IDOR stands for, anyone tell me what this IDOR stands for? Correct. So this stands for Insecure Direct Object Reference, okay. So let me explain what IDOR is, okay. So let us see if anyone is there. Okay. So can anyone tell me what a IDOR is? Anyone? Okay. So basically an IDOR is a type of attack where the attacker is able to access or manipulate a ID which should not be allowed. And if he or she is able to basically do this unauthorized access, or he is able to manipulate this ID, so what happens? He is simply able to access someone else's account. So for example, this is a URL, okay, https abc.com, and then what is happening, there is a user profile, okay. Then in this user profile there would be something like this ID, and in ID there could be a number. Now this is Asif, okay, this user is Asif. Now as an attacker, for example, Aman is an attacker, okay. What Aman is doing, he is basically exploiting this. What he is doing, he is simply changing this. His ID is simply 5, okay. So his ID is 1 2 3 4 and 5, okay. So what he is doing, just a minute, not able to remove this, no problem, let me write it down. abc.com, user profile, then ID, and 1 2 3 4 5, okay. So what Aman is able to do, he is simply able to remove this 5 and he is able to see my account, okay. So this is IDOR. This is an unauthorized access that Aman is able to do. He should not be able to perform this action, and even if he is able to perform this action, he should not able to view the content or account of basically Asif, right? So this is an unauthorized access. So basically IDOR is an attack where what happens, the attacker is able to simply access, okay, access, sorry, access, or he could manipulate, okay, he could access or manipulate or modify modify what he could modify, an id parameter which should not be allowed, okay. So this is what is happening. So basically this specific what you could say ID parameters should not be able to manipulate it. So no one should have access to manipulate this. For example, right now Aman is able to manipulate it and he is able to gain access of my account, which he should not able to do, right? But he is able to do this. So this is a idle attack, right? So this is a mistake the developer do. So we have to keep in mind. So we have to find this type of vulnerability. So let me write it down. Access to unauthorized, okay, data. We could simply say because we are able to see someone else's account. Now, if an attacker can guess, or simply we could say increment, okay, increment, or you could say decrement the ID parameter and access another user data. So this is known as IDOR. It's IDOR. Okay, IDOR vulnerability. Am I clear? So this is a IDOR. So IDOR can lead to sensitive information disclosure. It could lead to PII disclosure, personal identifiable information, right? So let us see a practical how we could perform IDOR. Okay. So for this, I will be using an application that we have used yesterday also, which was this Raj Academy. So we'll be using the same application, which is Raj Academy. So let us use this application. Guys, if you are having any doubts, let me know. Am I clear, everyone? Yes or no? So let us see the practical. Now, what I will be doing, so let me minimize this. So this is Raj Academy application. Okay. So now what I will be able to do, simply let us perform IDOR. Okay. Let us see if this application is vulnerable to IDOR. Okay, now let us go back to the application. Now we basically we have to get request. Okay, from where we can see the ID parameter. So what we have to do, we have to go to profile, we have to go to courses until we get a ID parameter or we are able to find any ID parameter. We have to perform the steps. So for example, what I have to do, first of all, I have to start my intercept. I have to turn on my intercept. Then I have to go to profile, and you can see I'm having this user ID. Let us send this to repeater. Okay, and turn off. Now let us turn this on. May take another request. Okay, send this also. We have to send multiple requests. Okay, now let us take this one. Okay, send this one also. Now what we have to do, simply first step is you have to open an application that you want to test, turn on your intercept, and you have to go to every single path, for example profile, courses, help, and you have to see if there is an ID parameter. Few times what happens, the ID parameter is hidden in this do intercept response to this request, so you have to check this also. Okay, so this is also very important. So now what we have to do, turn this off. Now let us go back, okay, and go to repeater. And the first thing that we have to see if this is giving our own information. For example, this is my ID, right? And let us see if this is giving my own information. So it is not giving my information, okay? Let us try another request. So let us see this one. Now you could see this is simply giving, the first thing is user token and the user ID. Now this is my user ID. 9218 is my user ID. Okay, now you could see that this is my information. This is my real information, right? That I have entered in the application. You could see. Now, what if we are able to manipulate this? What if I'm able to replace this 8 with 7? And let me send this. Now, guys, if you could see, I'm able to get into someone's else account. Yes or no? Guys, yes or no? Hello, guys, am I audible? Okay. So this is how we are able to perform IDOR. Now let us try changing this to 10. Now we will see someone else details, right? So this is a IDOR. This is how we could do IDOR, right, guys? So this is the request, and let us paste this, and this is the response. Now I will be removing the information such as this number and the email. Okay, so this is how you could simply do a IDOR. Very easy to find. Okay, now this was simply a IDOR, and severity of this vulnerability is critical. Okay, now what we could do, how to get, so not critical, we could say high, because we are not able to gain access, right? We are only able to see few informations. We are only able to see few information such as name, location, phone number, personal identifiable information. This could be high, or we could say medium, right? Now what if we want to change this? What if we want to make this we want to make this vulnerability critical? This is right now a high level vulnerability, or you could say a medium level vulnerability. Now, if I want to make this vulnerability critical, what I could do, you have seen yesterday I have taught you a vulnerability OTP bypass. And this application, Raj application, is vulnerable to this specific vulnerability, right, guys? So this application is vulnerable to OTP bypass. Now, what I could do, I could simply chain OTP bypass with this IDOR. And if I'm able to do, if I'm able to perform this step, what is happening? I'm able to do account takeover. Okay, I'm able to perform account takeover, which is a critical level vulnerability. Am I clear, guys? Yes or no? So this application is already vulnerable to OTP bypass, and we are able to see other user details such as their email, their phone number, and what we could do with the help of this IDOR, we are having a phone number. So what we could do, you could send the OTP and we could bypass that OTP, and simply we are able to take over the account. So this is a critical vulnerability. What we are doing, we are performing chaining attack. Okay, so what we are doing, we are performing a chaining attack where we are chaining a vulnerability. Am I clear, guys? So now what we could do, simply you could take this number and we could perform OTP bypass. Right now I will be not doing this because this is someone else account. What I will be doing, I will be performing on my own account. So this is my own account, right? So let me copy the ID and let me paste it here. And this is my ID. Just assume that this is another user. Okay, this is another user. So what I could do, simply if the application is vulnerable to OTP bypass, for example, this is another user. So what I could do, I could log out from my account, I could enter his phone number, and I could simply perform OTP bypass. So I will turn on the intercept and continue to OTP. And if you could see, this is the OTP, right, guys? Right, guys? So this is how we could perform this account takeover. So what we are able to do, simple, it is very simple. What we are able to do is, let me remove this. This is okay. So what we are able to do is very simple. First of all, we are performing IDOR attack. Okay, first of all, what we are doing, we are performing IDOR. Then we are doing OTP bypass. After this, we are simply able to do account takeover. Am I clear? So this is how chaining happens. We are chaining one vulnerability with another vulnerability. Am I clear? And if you are able to find this in a real application which is providing you bounty, this is also a real application, but do not report. But if there is an application responsible disclosure website which is giving you a bounty, you could perform it. You could perform the same attack in web application also. Okay, so this is how you could chain it. So I was testing. I was testing for a client. Okay, it was not a bug bounty program. It was a project. Back in 2020, I was testing that application, and that application was having the similar thing. So the client gave me 2K additional bonus, US dollar. So he gave me $2,000 additional bonus for finding this vulnerability. Okay, so this is how you could perform this type of attacks, guys. Okay, am I clear? Yes or no? Okay, so let us see the next vulnerability, which is improper. Let us leave this one. Let us first see this one. Let us see improper session handling. Okay, now what is improper session handling? So let us take an example. For example, this is an application. Okay, Swiggy, just an example, not a real life example. Swiggy is an application. What you are able to do, you are able to log in. After going to login page, what you are doing, you are first of all making any changes. For example, you are making changes in your profile. You are changing your name. Okay, you are changing your name. Okay, what we are doing, we are simply changing the name. We are simply changing the name. Okay, and then what we are doing, we are simply logging out. But what we could do now, if after, like, once I have done log out, and still if I'm able to make changes in my account, that is known as improper session handling. For example, my name is Asif. I'm going to Swiggy app. Okay, what I'm doing in Swiggy app, I'm changing my name. Okay, I'm changing my name from Asif to Asif1. And what I'm doing after this process, I'm simply logging out. Okay, after this process, I'm simply logging out. But after this process, if I'm able to make changes in that account, for example, if I'm able to rename, I'm able to change the name again after the logout process. For example, I'm able to make the name to Asif123. So this is improper session handling, because you should not be able to do this after once we have logged out from the account, right? So this is improper session handling. How to find this? We could find this with the help of Bob Suit. Okay, so we could capture the request and we could make that changes. So let us see how we could perform this improper session handling. Okay, so let us take the application which is this Jaipur Sabji Mandi application. I will be sending this. Now what we have to do, I have already created an account. These are the details. Now what I will be doing, simply first of all I will be making a change, and I will be changing my name to ASIF. Okay, now what I will be doing, I will be simply in turning my intercept on and I will submit. I will click on submit. Now this is the request. What I will do, I will right click and send this to repeater and I will forward this request. Now you could see my name has successfully changed. Okay, and this is the request that we got. Now what we could do with this request is simple. First of all, we have to log out because I have made the changes as I have explained in the previous example. Now just log out. Now once I have logged out, we should not able to make any changes in the account. But what I will be able to do now, you could see this is the detail, right? This is the name. So what I'm able to do right now, I have logged out. I'm not logged in into this account, right? Now what I'm doing, I'm changing my name from Asif to Asif123 and I'm sending this. Now you could see it is giving the successful status, right? Your profile has been updated. So let us see if the details has been changed or not. So this is the email that I will be using. Okay, so this is the email and this is the password, which is test. Okay, test, and let me click on login. Now let us come back to this profile and now you could see the name is successfully changed. Yes guys, can you see this? We have successfully changed the name. So this is how you could perform this improper session handling type of attack. Very easy to find and you could do this very easily. Okay, so this is the, let me give the response and request also. And this also. So this is how we could perform this improper session handling. Am I clear guys? Any doubts? Okay, yeah, you could try. Let me show you an example. So this is an application. Okay, Android Go. So what you could do, you could simply type any cross-site scripting payload. For example, if there is an application which is giving you input where you could give inputs. For example, this is an input parameter that you're getting in the application. So what you could do, you could try to paste an cross-site scripting code, or even you could try HTML injection. For example, let me just type H1, then let me try hacked, and let me close this tag and let us see if this is vulnerable to HTML injection. So you could see this is vulnerable to HTML injection. So we could easily perform cross-site scripting also. Okay, guys. So this is how we could do XSS. Very easy, not that much difficult. Steps are similar to web application pen testing. Nothing different. The same step that we are doing into like the same step is that we are following in the web application. They are similar in Android also for cross-site scripting or CSRF, HTML injection. Okay, so everything is same. Am I clear, Sushant? Sushant? Okay. Now let us see the next vulnerability and the last vulnerability for Android pen testing, which is LFI, local file inclusion. Okay. Now LFI, let us see how we could how we could find this LFI. So finding LFI is very easy in our Android application. The first thing that we need is our browser. Okay, and we need an application to test. What I will be doing now, I will be simply going back and I will be opening my appy. Just give me a minute. So this is the, okay, this is okay. I will be explaining this also. Don't worry. I have got two responsible disclosure for you guys. So let me stop sharing my screen. Okay, so now guys, can you see my appy? Is this visible to you guys? Okay, now what I will be doing, I will be first of all starting my browser. So for that, let me start the browser client application, which is browser agent. Now what I will be doing, I will be typing the command which is adb forward PCP. The port number is 31415. Let me check if this is correct. Yeah, 31415 PCP 31415. Then let us try the next command, which is browser console connect. Now let us wait for a few seconds. Right now, the application that I will be testing is CV. You could test any application, but I am testing the CV application right now. So I will be testing the CV application. Where is the CV? CV. Oh, SIE. Let me check where my CV is. Let us try for this Diva first of all. Let us see if this is vulnerable or not. If not, then we will see the CV. Okay. So the first thing that we have to do for finding LFI is very simple. Can okay. So the first step that we have to do to find LFI is very simple. First of all, we need the package name of the application. Okay. For example, if I'm testing this CV, sorry, right now we are testing Diva application. So we need the package name for this Diva. And I have told you how to find the package name. You have to type this run app.package. Then we have to type this list and then F and then the pack name. For example, I have to type Diva. So it will give the package name automatically. So this is the package name. Now what I have to do is the first step I have to do is to run this command, which is run app.package. Then we have to type attack surface, surface, attack surface, and then the package name, which is the Diva. Okay, and 3 activities, 0 broadcast. Okay, guys. So let us try in another application. This is not vulnerable. So I will be testing in this CV. Okay, where is the CV? Let me try CV apps. Okay, so let us try the CV. First of all, I have to give the package name SIEVECV. Now we are having the package name. So what I will be doing, I will be using the second command, that was this run app.package.attack surface. The reason we are using this command is to know the attack surface. Okay, so now how we could find this type of vulnerability? Which type of vulnerability? LFI. So if you want to find LFI, what we need content providers. Okay, so if we need to find LFI, the thing that we need is simple. We need content providers. If this content provider is there, for example, it is one or even it is two, three, it should be minimum one and more than one. Okay, it should not be zero. If it is zero, you could not find LFI. So right now what we are doing, we are finding an LFI and we are exploiting with the help of content provider. Okay, so you have to find LFI with the help of content provider only. So now this was the first step and we are able to see that this application is having one content provider. Now let us see if this content provider is vulnerable or not. Okay, so before that, let us run this command, which is run app dot provider dot info. The reason I'm using this info is to know about this content provider. Okay, so I want to get info about this content provider. Then I will be typing a and the package name. Sorry, the package name. This is the package name. Sir, you are again using the same name of Diva. Yeah, sorry. Yeah, I forgot this. Thank you for reminding me. Okay, yeah. package attack surface. Okay, now yeah, now you can see we are having two content providers. Okay, now let us see if these content providers are vulnerable or not. Okay, so for that the command will be using the first command. We want to know more about this content provider, so let us know more about this content provider. So the command I will be writing is run app dot provider, then info, then I will be typing a and the package name, okay, which is cv. Package name is cv. Okay, now let me press enter. Now we are having the information about this specific we could say content provider, the first one and the second one. Okay, now let us see if any one of them are vulnerable or not. Okay, so first of all we have got the information. Okay, now the second thing that we want to do, we have to find URI. Okay, so we have to find some URI. Okay, can anyone tell me the full form of URI? Anyone? App.provider. Okay, then we have to type find URI. Okay, let us see if we have got any response. Guys, anyone can tell me what URI stands for? Then the package name. Correct. Okay, so now the steps that we have done till now is the first step. Let me explain one by one so you will not get confused. Okay, so the first step that we are doing is getting the package name. Getting the package name. This is the first step. The next step that we are doing is basically seeing the attack surface. I will be not writing the commands because you could see in the session only. Okay, so the next thing that we'll be doing is writing the attack surface. Okay, so we want to get the attack surface of the application, so we'll be writing the command which is run app package attack surface and the package name. The next thing that we are performing is simply to get info about the provider, info for provider. Okay, the next thing after this, what we are doing, we are finding URI. Okay, so we have to find the URI. The steps that I have done till now, this is the step we have done for finding the URI. Okay, now after this URI step, what we have to do, we have to check. Okay, the thing that we have to do is simply we have to check if any of this URI is vulnerable or not. Okay, so for that what we could do, it is very simple to find it. Okay, so let me write the command which is run, then we have to type scanner provider. Okay, after provider I have to type traversal. Okay, then we have to type a and the package name. Okay, now you could see after this command it will tell us if this all the content provider are vulnerable or not, and you could see it has told us that this content providers are not vulnerable, only two content providers are vulnerable, right guys? So you could see that it has told us that only these content providers are vulnerable and which are not. So what we are doing in the next step, after finding the URI, we are simply scanning for any vulnerable parameter. Okay, or we could say we are finding for any vulnerable URI. Okay, so this is the step that we are doing, and we have found two URI which are vulnerable. Okay, so we have found two URI which are vulnerable. Now what we have to do, we have to exploit it. Now we have to exploit it. Okay, and how we could exploit it is very simple. What we have to do is simple. We have to type this command which is run. Let us modify the previous one only. So we have to use this command which is run app. No, we have to write it from starting. Run app dot provider, then read. Then what we have to do, after this we have to give a URI. Let us take this URI. Okay, after this URI, what I have to do, I have to type any, like, let us go to this. First of all, let us type adb cell. Okay, and what we have to do, we have to get any, we have to get any local file, okay, which is available. So let us see any local files. Now you can see we are having a lot of files, local files. Proc, we are having this CPU. Okay, so let us try this proc only. So just type proc. Okay, and now in proc we have a file name as CPU info. So if you will come to this proc cd proc And if you ls, you could see we are having this CPU info. We're having a lot of files. Okay, we are having a lot of files. We are having the CPU info. Now let us see if we are able to see this or not, if we are able to exploit this or not, if we are able to view a file or not. So let me press enter. Now you could see I'm simply able to view a local file. Okay, and we are able to exploit this. Okay guys, so this is how we could exploit a normal URI. Okay, we are able to exploit and we are able to do LFI. Now instead of this URI, what if I'm able to take this another URI? This was the one URI. So let us take this one. Okay, now what I have to do, I have to type the same thing, which is etc. Okay, which is TCP and post. Okay, so this way basically, let us see. Now this is giving the host information. So this is how we could perform LFI. Now what will happen few times, you will not be able to find LFI like this. It will give an error. So in that case, what you have to do, you have to use this type of things to simply bypass this. Okay, and then you will be able to see this. So this is how we could exploit, and we are able to see a local file. Am I clear guys? This is LFI. Okay, and how we are able to exploit it. Clear guys? Any doubts? Okay, now let us see the last module, which is about the project. Okay, so this is the project. I will be showing you this. So let us come to the last part. Let me come to this. Okay, so last one is module 14, which is Android pen testing report and how to make a report. So let us see how we report. How we report a vulnerability. Report a vulnerability. How do we report a vulnerability or bug? Okay, so can anyone tell me how do we report a bug? If you're reporting a bug, how do we report? Bharat, you could see the video and you could write the commands. Okay, you could see the video and you could write the commands. Any idea, guys? If you want, guys, I could write the steps if you want. Not a problem. So let me write the steps. It will help you. So the first command is run dot package. Okay, then after this, let me see if I'm able to copy this. Okay, let us see if we are able to copy this. Each commands. So this is the first command. Okay. After this, this is the second command. First the attack surface, then we are getting the information about the provider. Okay. Then after the provider, what we are doing, we are basically finding the URI. For this is the command. Okay. After URI, what I'm doing, I'm simply finding vulnerable URI. So which is the command, this is the command. Okay, this is the command for finding a vulnerable. Okay, so this is the for finding the vulnerable one, and the last one is this to exploit it. Okay, now let me paste it. Okay, now let me explain this. So the first step that we are doing, we are simply getting the attack surface. Okay, after finding the attack surface, we are getting information about the provider. Okay, after getting the information about the provider, what we are doing, we are simply finding URI of that specific providers, and we are getting 5 to 8 results. After that, what we are doing, we have to check which URI are vulnerable. Okay, so this step is simply for scanning if the URI is vulnerable or not. If we are having vulnerable URI such as this, okay, vulnerable providers, so what we could do, we could run this command, which is run app.provider.read and the URI, and then you could simply type this blog and CPU file. Okay, clear guys? So this is how we could perform this. Am I clear, everyone? You could look any system file. This are all the system file, guys. So you could simply come to this folder, which is, let me exit from this. Okay, now what you could do, simple, it is very simple. you could simply come to this ADB self and you could view any file which is viewable. So you could view any file. Okay, so this is what we are able to do. We are able to view local files. Okay. Okay, now let us see the report. How do we report a vulnerability? Very important. So reporting a vulnerability is very easy, guys. So can anyone tell me how do we report a vulnerability? If you have done bug bounty, so tell me how do we report a bug? Vulnerability name, vulnerability description, correct, correct. Asitosh, correct. So let us take this only. So the first thing that we do, let me show you what you could say a POC. Okay, so let me show you a POC for vulnerability. So okay, so this is one of the example. Okay, one of the example how you could report a vulnerability. So guys, can you see my screen? Okay, now you can see the first thing that I'm doing. I'm writing a subject. Okay, so the first thing that I'm doing, I'm writing a subject. Okay, the subject is responsible disclosure. So the first thing that I'm doing, I'm typing responsible disclosure, which is subject, or you could type vulnerability report. Okay, you could type vulnerability report. Anyone will work. Okay, you could either type responsible disclosure or a vulnerability report. Am I clear? The next step that I'm doing, I'm giving a brief introduction about myself. It is not compulsory to give introduction, but yeah, I'm giving. The next thing that I'm doing, I'm giving vulnerability description, right? Then I'm giving the vulnerable URL. Then I'm giving the steps to reproduce, the steps that we have taken to find this vulnerability. Then how we could fix this vulnerability. And the last one is basically the impact. What is the impact? And POC is very important. So let me write the steps. So the first step that we do when we are reporting a vulnerability is giving a vulnerability name. Okay, so we have to give a vulnerability name. For example, process scripting is the name. Okay, then we have to give vulnerable vulnerable URL, or you could say app. Okay, so if it is a website, you have to type the website URL. Okay, if it is an app, what you have to do, you have to write the app name and the version. App name and the version if it is an application, right? Now after vulnerable URL or app, what you have to do, the next thing that you have to do is write a description about the vulnerability, what the vulnerability is, how you could find this vulnerability. Okay, not the steps, just a brief introduction about the vulnerability. Okay, so that is description. Am I clear, guys? Now after description, what you have to do, you have to type steps to reproduce. Can anyone tell me what this steps to reproduce is? Correct. So steps to reproduce are basically the steps that we have taken, steps that we have taken to find a bug. So basically, steps to reproduce are basically the steps that we are taken to find a vulnerability. So steps to reproduce is nothing but the steps that we have taken to find the bug or to exploit. For example, these are the steps that I have taken to find the vulnerability, right? So first of all, I'm getting a package name, then I'm following these steps. So these are the steps to reproduce. Okay, so you have to type, for example, if I'm finding session fixation, or even if I'm finding LFI, if I'm finding OTP bypass, so you have to write all the steps. For example, in OTP bypass, what you do, you open your burp suite. Okay, you open your burp suite, you open the application, you intercept the request. So you have to write in steps. Okay, So then we have to write the steps to reproduce. Don't worry, I will repeat. Okay, so in description, what we have to do, we have to write about the vulnerability. For example, it is cross-site scripting. So you have to find which cross-site scripting you have find. For example, you have find reflected one. Okay, so you have to write about reflected cross-site scripting, what this vulnerability is and what this vulnerability is doing in this specific website. For example, what is this vulnerability doing? What is the impact? You don't have to write the impact, but what this vulnerability is doing in this application. Okay, how this vulnerability is affecting this site. So you have to write a description about the vulnerability. For example, you could type cross-site scripting is a vulnerability lines you could just get from Chrome. Okay, so you have to write description about any vulnerability. For example, if this is LFI, so you have to write about what LFI is. You have to explain LFI vulnerability. Okay, simple. Then step to reproduce, you have to find the steps that you have taken to find the vulnerability. Am I clear, guys? The last thing that we do is simple, which is impact. What is the impact of this vulnerability? What this reflected excesses is doing on what this reflected excesses is simply doing in the application, how it is affecting the application. For example, let us take IDOR. So if we are doing IDOR, how this IDOR is affecting the application and its users. So when we are writing impact, never copy impact from Google. Try simply try to write on your own words. Okay, never copy from Google. Try to frame your own impact, how this is happening, what is happening. Okay, never copy paste, because if your impact is wrong, you will not get a bounty. So try to make the impact very good. Okay, so you have to write the impact very you could say you have to make it a very you have to make it a very oriented way. Okay, so try to make in a good way. So try to write this impact very good. Okay, if we are looking for vulnerabilities in real mobile application, can we look older version also? No. When you are looking for vulnerabilities, always find vulnerabilities in on the latest version. For example, if you are testing Swiggy and the latest version is version 5, so you have to test this version 5 only. Do not test version 4, because they have fixed the version 4 vulnerability in the latest version. So never ever do this. They will reject your thing. Okay, they will reject your bug. So never do this type of things. Okay, the last thing, which is POC, very important, proof of concept. Okay, proof of concept. Like, what is the proof that you found this vulnerability? Okay, so you could give an image, you could give a photo, you could simply give a video, so you could give anyone. Okay, so let me show you now real reports of this, basically of how to report a bug. Okay, so let me show you reports, few reports. Okay, so I'm having a lot of reports, actually more than thousands of reports. So now if you could see, guys, is my screen visible? Okay, now you can see these are the steps. Okay, so I have given introduction, I have given description about the vulnerability. Okay, and I have given the steps how to find it. Even you could give the request that we got from the bug suits. Few times it is required to give the request also. Okay, then this is how we could perform this. You have to write the impact. You could even give the solution and remediation if you want. And the last thing is, which is the POC. So always you have to give a POC, as well as it is not compulsory for giving the solution, but yeah, good point, if you're giving a solution, not compulsory to give a solution. Am I clear, guys? Share some reports and PDF so we can get ideas if possible. You could simply get a lot of reports. Simply type the vulnerability name, for example, cross-site scripting and HackerOne. Okay, so you will get a lot of reports. So you could see we are getting a lot of reports. Just type vulnerability name and HackerOne. You will get a lot of reports. Okay, so just do, you could see summary, description. You could even type summary. Okay, steps to reproduce, exploitation. Okay, if you're doing exploitation, add exploitation, mitigation. So this is how we do this. Okay, simply type this vulnerability name and HackerOne. You will get a lot of reports. Okay, we are getting a lot of reports, if you could see. Clear, guys? So let me add this in the notes. Now let me close this and let us talk about the project now. Okay, so this was about everything. This was about Android pen testing. Today we have completed the course and everything. Okay, so these are just few basic things. Let me show you guys one report. Okay, so I reported a vulnerability in a very big company, but what I have done a small mistake while reporting. What I did, I did not. So if you want to be eligible for the bounty, what you have to do, you have to report the bugs through their website only, right? But what I did, I didn't read their policies properly, and what I did, I reported the vulnerability on their email. So what happened to me is simply I did not get any reward, but the vulnerability was patched, and that vulnerability was critical. Okay, so let me show you the vulnerability. It was a critical vulnerability, not a normal vulnerability. So let me show you the vulnerability, which was, the project will be very easy, guys. You don't have to worry about the project. Okay, so I found a vulnerability on Alibaba. Okay, so can you see my screen, guys? So I found I found a RCE on Alibaba. You could see. So one mistake that I have done is that I have not read their this policies. Okay, I will be explaining this. I have not read their responsible disclosure policy properly. Okay, so I have just reported them, and I have not read their what you could say responsible disclosure properly. Guys, wait a minute. I will be back in 2 minutes. Okay, take a break for 2 or 3 minutes. Okay. Guys, am I audible? Let me know. Now, let me explain the story. So, what happened? I reported this RC on their website. So, what happened is basically I reported this vulnerability on their email, okay, which I was not supposed to. Okay, they have written in their policy that I have to create an account and I have to report through their website only. So, this was the mistake that was done through my side. So, this is not their fault. They have already mentioned that if you will be doing this, you will be not getting any response as well as any bounty. Okay, so this was my fault, so don't blame them. Okay, I haven't seen this, but yeah, if I have reported this through a proper channel, I would have got around $500, okay, or even $10,000. But yeah, this was my mistake. Okay, so yeah, I haven't seen and I just reported them. So this was the RC that I found, and I was able to do a lot of things. I was able to execute my own commands, right? So they passed this vulnerability. The next day I reported to them. So yeah, now they have passed this vulnerability. You could see I have a lot of POCs. Okay, I have even run a few commands. You could see, right? I'm able to gain access of their internal system, right? So this was my fault, but yeah, still this was a good vulnerability. I learned a lot from this vulnerability. So yeah, this is how you can report it. And the next thing that I was telling, always read this responsible disclosure policy very carefully. I have what I have done. I have made a lot of mistakes. Okay, I have lost a lot of bounty due to this thing only. Okay, sir, please tell again what you have done and when you don't know. Sir, please tell again what have you done when you don't know. Pooja, I didn't get your question. Simply, you have to check. You have to search in Google. You can do CVSS score. Okay, you could search on Google. What is the severity? Okay, yeah, I'm telling that only what mistakes I have made. Okay, don't worry. I'm telling the same mistakes. Okay, so she was talking about the mistakes. Don't worry. I'm telling the same mistakes. Do not interrupt in between. So, what I was telling, when you are reading a responsible disclosure program, what you have to do, the first thing you have to read everything properly. The first thing that you have to do, guidelines, try to read every single line. What things you have to do, what things you don't have to do, because even if you are making a single mistake, they will not give you anything. Okay, so always try to read their guidelines, see what things are in scopes. Okay, how to report it, what are the targets where you could find the vulnerability, which website or which bugs are out of scope. For example, few vulnerabilities are out of scope, so do not report them and do not find them. Okay, so this is how you have to do things. See what is this confidentiality, what is disclaimer. So try to read every single thing which is present. What I have done in my starting days, okay, till now I do. So I have been in this field from 4 years. Now I'm not into bug bounty that much. Okay, now I'm doing a lot of project because that pays well. So when you will be starting in bug bounty, the thing that you have to do is read everything properly. Do not skip anything. Okay, try to read everything. For example, they have told you have to report like this, so report in this format only. Do not report in my format. If they are giving you a format to report, report in their format only. Okay, so you have to check what things they have written, what area you have to focus on, which vulnerability you have to focus on, what vulnerabilities are not eligible, right? You have to read what system and infrastructure things are, what vulnerabilities are. Okay, what session and related vulnerabilities are. So you have to see every single thing which is present. Okay, so this is how we could simply do. Sir, did any certification? Yeah, I have done Security Plus, but I do not believe in certifications. I believe in knowledge, so that is the reason I have not done any certification till now, and I am not planning to, because certifications are costly. And even if you are looking for a job, then it's great. But if you are not looking for a job, you are a freelancer, or if you work as a, like, you work in projects, so yeah, it will be not helpful for you. Okay, so yeah, that is the thing. Certifications are just a way. If you don't have knowledge, you will not get anywhere with certifications. My friends are having OSCPs. One of my friend, he's having OSCP, but he's not getting a job. The reason is knowledge, right? So you should have knowledge, not certification. Certification is just a piece of paper. Anyone could get certification nowadays, guys. Don't focus on CEH security plus, pentest plus. Just focus on your knowledge, because if you're spending 30 to 40K in a certification, you will be only getting knowledge for that specific certification. But if you will be spending that 30-40,000 rupees on different courses, you will be getting multiple knowledge, right? So always spend your money wisely. Am I clear, Isan? Isa, sorry. Am I clear? Okay. So this is the scope. This is how we report the vulnerability. You could read, you have to read everything. Okay, how to report, what should you report, what is the email format, what steps you have to take. So try to read everything properly, guys. Do not skip anything. Okay. So this is how we could do it. Now, yesterday someone has told me, sir, how to use bug bounty dogs for bug bounty. Sorry, how to use this responsible disclosure bug bounty dogs. Okay. So for that, what you could do, you could simply use dogs like this, responsible disclosure bounty. Then you could use any dog. Just copy paste and open any vulnerability or disclosure program and start reading. Start reading what things are in scope, what are the things you have to keep in mind, and start testing. Okay. So this is how we have to do this. Okay. Now let us come. Don't, guys, do not worry. I will be telling about the project. Don't go fast. Okay. Go slow. Don't worry. I will be telling about the project. Let me go step by step. Okay. Now this is how we have to do this. Okay. So this is, I am testing this application right now. I have found 4 vulnerabilities till now, and I have reported them. So let us come back and let us see what was the project. Now for project, what you would be getting. Okay, so let us talk about the project. So for project, what you will be getting, you will be getting an application. Application will be sent to you on the group. Okay, so you have to install that application. So application will be sent to you. Wait for few hours after this session. You will receive the application as well as the things. Okay, you will have 3 days to complete this project. So you will have 27, 28, 29. You have to submit this by 30 morning. Okay, so this is the project. Now what you have to in project, you have to find 4 vulnerabilities in that specific application. For example, this is an application. So what you have to do in this application, you have to find 4 vulnerabilities only. For example, I'm talking about this ASIF application. So what you have to do, this application is having around 12 vulnerabilities. Okay, so this application is having 12 vulnerabilities. You only have to find 4 vulnerabilities. Am I clear, guys? Any type of vulnerability, severity doesn't matter. Now, how to report it? Yeah, minimum 4. Minimum 4. Maximum you could take as much as you want. Minimum you have to take 4. Okay. Now, how to make this vulnerability report? Okay, how to make a PDF and how to send it. So this is one of the example you could see. Now what I'm doing is simply, this is our assessment report, a professional level report. Now what you have to do, you don't have to make like this, but yeah, I will be sharing this. So what you have to do, you have to basically write the scope, okay, the rules of engagement. So this types of things you don't have to do because you are just a fresher. Okay, so what you have to do, you simply have to make a simple report like this. So this is a report from our previous interns. So first thing that you have to do, let me show you this one. First of all, let me see. Yeah. So what you have to do, simple. It is very simple. You could make a report like this only if you want. Very easy to make. So what you have to do, first of all, you have to write location of a vulnerability. I will be sharing this. Okay. So the first thing that you have to write is location of the vulnerability, such as the application name. Okay. So you could even type the what you could say, vulnerable URL or vulnerable app. Okay. So this is the location of the vulnerability application that you are testing. Then the name of the vulnerability. Okay. Then proof of concepts and the steps that you have taken to find this vulnerability with this screenshot, right? You could see this, and references if you want to give any solution reference. Not compulsory, but yeah, this is how you have to make a report. Now, for example, if you have found a vulnerability LFI, so how you have to get the details about that vulnerability? Just go to Google and type LFI impact, okay, LFI description. You will get everything. Okay, don't message us about how to find description. Everything is available on Google, and ChatGPT is there to help you. Okay, so take help from them. Now this is how we could do this. Okay, for example, pasteboard vulnerability that I have told you yesterday. So this is how you have to make a vulnerability report. Now let us take example for this specific report. So first of all, what the intern has done, I will be not sharing this report because you have to test the same application. So the intern has simply written his name, the logo of the cyber host, then he has given an index. So what you have to do in report, you have to first of all, I will be sharing the reference, don't worry. So what you have to do, first of all, you have to give the CyberHost logo, which you could take from Arun's DP. Okay, and I will be sharing that also. So the CyberHost, you could simply take the CyberHost logo, then you could give your name. Okay, then you could do an index. In the next page, you have to take an index like this. If you could see an index, the vulnerability that you have found. Okay, right, then you have to, what you have to do, you have to type vulnerability details or vulnerability report, then you have to give number one, vulnerability name, description. You could follow the same step that I have told you, like these steps. Okay, you could also follow these steps, not compulsory, you could also follow these steps. Okay, vulnerability name, description, POC, steps to reproduce, right, remediation, the same steps that I have told you. You could follow these steps also. You could see I'm having a lot of reports. You could even do like this, right? You could even do like this. Am I clear, guys? Any doubt in project? I will be sharing the reference report, don't worry. Okay, so you will be only getting 3 days. You can complete this project within 1 day. So you will be only getting 3 days, and the recording will only be accessible till 28th of August. Okay, now if anyone wants to connect with me, okay, if you have any doubt regarding the project, anything, just contact Sam, he will help you. If he is not helping you, then message me. You can message me anytime if you want. So this is my email that you could use to get in touch with me. So this is my email that you could use to get in touch with me. Okay, or you could connect in LinkedIn. So you could send a message on my LinkedIn if you want. So yeah, that's all, guys. Any doubts, let me know. This is all for this Android pen testing session. I hope you liked my session. Let me know, guys, how was the session, everything. I'm opening the mic. Let me know how was the session and everything. Okay, just let me turn on the mic. Okay, guys, let me know how was my lectures and everything. Did you find my lectures helpful? Everything, let me know. Open your mic. You have the permission to open your mic. Okay, so I think you are not having any doubts. So the application will be shared to you guys. Okay, you have to find any 4 vulnerabilities and you have to make a report. Report you have simply have to make like the one I have told you. I will be sharing the reference, so don't worry for that. Try to make it more creative. Okay. Okay, so this was your last session. Now, after this session, you will be getting the project details by 11 p.m. and everything will be shared to you guys. Deadline will be shared, form submission link will be shared, everything. Okay, and lists for the attendance cannot be shared. Those whose attendance are short, they will be removed. Okay, they will be not removed. They will be not given the